The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka is set to host online tariff negotiations with the US trade representatives ahead of the August deadline. Port City Colombo highlights the strategic investment opportunities at Sri Lanka Investor Trade and Tourism Forum in Malaysia. Sri Lanka stocks show strong recovery with ASPI and SL20 gaining significant momentum. And S&P 500 and Nasdaq reach record highs driven by strong earnings and economic data.
From Studio 24, here's Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
A very good evening and thank you for joining us. Sri Lanka is set to hold online talks with the US trade representatives today to discuss tariff reductions. The move follows ongoing negotiations aimed at improving trade and investment ties between the two nations.
The discussion will be attended by the Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, and relevant government officials to promote the trade and investment relations between the two countries. The Sri Lankan government is having ongoing negotiations with the US trade agency, the ministry said, and have taken steps to reach revised agreements. The US notified Sri Lanka in writing a new tariff proposal, reducing it from the initial 44% announced in April to 30%. It was subsequently decided that Sri Lanka would continue to hold discussions with the US trade agency to further reduce the 30% rate.
A high-level meeting at the Presidential Secretariat addressed key challenges and opportunities in Sri Lanka's tea industry. Officials discussed strategies to improve tea quality, boost productivity and enhance coordination among stakeholders.
A meeting was held at the Presidential Secretariat to discuss issues in Sri Lanka's tea industry. Key topics included improving tea leaf quality, increasing productivity and exploring new international markets. Officials also addressed challenges faced by tea manufacturers and were instructed to find constructive solutions. The discussions emphasized capacity development programs for small tea estate owners and the importance of replanting tea. Plans to establish a formal data system to tea cultivation and improve coordination among stakeholders were also covered. Representatives from various tea sector institutions and associations participated. The Tea Traders Association urged stricter enforcement of quality standards to maintain Sri Lanka's tea reputation.
Port City Colombo participated as a strategic partner at the Sri Lanka Investor Trade and Tourism Forum 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, showcasing investment opportunities in Sri Lanka. The event highlighted Port City Colombo's role as a key driver of foreign direct investment and economic growth in South Asia.
Port City Colombo participated as a strategic partner at the Sri Lanka's Investor Trade and Tourism Forum 2025 held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The event, organized by the Sri Lankan High Commission and Czech Port City Colombo, aimed to attract Malaysian investors by highlighting opportunities in Sri Lanka, especially in the Port City Colombo. The forum was attended by senior officials from both Sri Lanka and Malaysia, as well as representatives from various business chambers and industry associations. Port City Colombo showcased its strategic vision, special economic zone benefits and investment potential to the attendees. The event reinforced Sri Lanka's improving economic climate and Port City Colombo's role as a key foreign investment hub in the region.
Sri Lanka's central bank has revised loan-to-value ratios for vehicles effective 18th of July. The new rules remove the 90% LTV limit previously available for electric vehicles, aligning their credit limits with other vehicles. LTV ratios increased to 60% for cars, SUVs and vans, up from 50%. Commercial vehicles LTV was reduced from 90 to 80%, while three-wheelers saw an increase from 25 to 50%. Other vehicles, including cabs, now have a 70% LTV limit, with used cars over a year old also eligible for 70%. These changes aim to enhance macroprudential policy and reinforce prudent credit standards across the vehicle financing sector. The central bank said the revisions will help mitigate systemic risks and bring greater consistency to lending practices. Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market showed positive momentum today with key indices closing higher. Both the broader market and the top 20 stocks experienced gains, reflecting investor confidence. For more on this, we speak with Salama Sanoon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The Colombo Stock Exchange experienced a revival from yesterday's dull session, with the all-share price index increasing 97 points to close at 18,974. The index experienced some intraday volatility, but more or less continued its climb throughout the day. The top positive contributors to the ASPI were Central Finance Company, Haley's PLC, John Keel's Holdings, Sampath Bank and Singer Sri Lanka. Turnover for the day stood at 7.6 billion rupees, which reflects a 15% increase over the monthly average of 6.6 billion rupees. The capital goods sector dominated activity, accounting for 27% of total turnover, followed by the banking and diversified financial sectors, which jointly contributed around 28%. The top three price gainers for the day were Industrial Asphalts, Royal Palms Beach Hotels and Hella Apparel, while the top three price losers were SMB Finance Non-Boating, Browns Beach Hotels and Bansai Royal Resorts. Thank you.
The trading week began bogged down by negativity due to selling pressures, ending 2 days in the red. The bourses, however, made a turnaround in the latter half of the week. For insights into the mixed week the CSE experienced, we have Shahana Kanagaratnam from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The Colombo Stock Exchange commenced the week on a strong footing, supported by the US reducing tariff rates on Sri Lanka to 30%, a comparatively lower rate than most regional peers. However, the ASPI experienced mid-week fluctuations amid profit-taking activity. Investor participation remained robust during the week, with sustained interest from both retail and high-net-worth individuals. Market turnover was consistently strong, surpassing Rs 7 billion during 4 sessions and peaking at Rs 17 billion on Wednesday, largely driven by Rs 11 billion in HNB non-voting share crossings across 207 trades. Sector-wise, banking and capital goods attracted the most investor interest during the week. The ASPI rebounded strongly on the final day of trading, closing at 18,974 points. Thank you.
Gold prices moved little in Asian trade today as strong US retail sales data boosted the dollar and also buoyed risk appetite, undermining demand for safe havens. Spot gold steadied at 0.37% to $3,339.61 an ounce, while gold futures for September were flat at $3,344.62 an ounce. The yellow metal was also set for mild weekly losses as investors grew increasingly convinced that the Federal Reserve will not cut interest rates anytime soon. Broader metal prices were nursing a middling weekly performance amid pressure from a stronger dollar. Spot silver traded at $38.12 an ounce and was down about 0.5% this week. Among industrial metals, benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange rose 0.3%, while COMEX copper futures rose 0.6%. Both contracts were trading sideways for the week. Spot platinum traded around $1,465.43 an ounce and was up about 5.5% this week. Oil prices rose today after the European Union agreed to new sanctions against Russia, also underpinned by supply concerns following drone attacks on northern Iraqi oil fields and tight market fundamentals. Brent crude futures climbed 62 cents or 0.89% to $70.14 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures advanced 64 cents or 0.95% to $68.18 a barrel. U.S. crude inventories fell by a larger than expected 3.9 million barrels last week. Demand in Asia also firmed as refineries came back from maintenance amid peak seasonal demand. Officials pointed to Iran-backed militias as the likely source of attacks this week on the region's oil fields, although no group has claimed responsibility. Despite the attack, Iraq's federal government said that Iraqi Kurdistan will resume oil exports through a pipeline to Turkey after a 2-year halt. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar today compared to yesterday, and according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased while the selling rate has also seen a rise. The Sri Lankan rupee has also depreciated further against a basket of foreign currencies, including Gulf currencies. Let's take a closer look now at how the Sri Lankan rupee is faring against other major global currencies. short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Samsung Sri Lanka hosted the B2B Summit 2025, uniting over 180 key industry stakeholders. The event spotlighted cutting-edge mobile and consumer tech driving the nation's digital transformation.
Samsung Sri Lanka recently held its B2B summit this year, bringing together over 180 leaders from diverse sectors like government, healthcare, education and finance. The summit showcased Samsung's latest innovations in enterprise mobility and consumer electronics, highlighting their role in Sri Lanka's digital transformation. Rugged devices like Galaxy X Cover 7 and Tab Active 5 were highlighted for their durability and suitability in demanding environments such as logistics and healthcare. The consumer electronics division introduced advanced HVAC systems and display solutions that enhance commercial and educational spaces.
People's Bank and the Industrial Development Board of Sri Lanka have launched the People's Biz Teens Challenge 2025, a nationwide initiative empowering young entrepreneurs aged 11 to 18. The program encourages students to showcase innovative business ideas to strengthen Sri Lanka's economy. Over 590 school-based entrepreneurship circles with 30,000 members will participate, supported by trained teachers. Applications are open until September 30th, with submissions evaluated by industry experts at district and national levels. Winners will receive cash prizes and certificates with awards for outstanding talent in different age groups, and this initiative highlights People's Bank's commitment to youth empowerment and national socio-economic development. Cathay Pacific has increased its flights between Colombo and Hong Kong from 5 to daily services, enhancing connectivity and cargo capacity.
Cathay Pacific has upgraded its Colombo-Hong Kong route to daily flights using Airbus A330-300 aircraft with fully flatbed business class and spacious economy seats. The increased frequency enhances connectivity for passengers traveling to destinations across Asia, Australia, New Zealand, North America and Central and South America via Hong Kong. New non-stop flights between Hong Kong and Adelaide, and with the addition of Dallas-Fort Worth to Cathay's North American network, offer more travel options. The expanded service also boosts cargo capacity from Colombo, supporting priority shipments such as perishables, live animals and valuables. Cathay's regional general manager highlighted the commitment to meeting growing demand and strengthening Asia-Pacific connectivity. This expansion follows Cathay Pacific's relaunch of Colombo-Hong Kong flights in February last year.
Toyota Lanka celebrated its 30th anniversary by unveiling its 2025 vehicle lineup, featuring 21 new Toyota models at the Toyota Life Grand Reveal in Colombo. Over 600 industry leaders and business partners attended the event, marking one of the largest vehicle launches in Sri Lanka. The company showcased its commitment to innovation and sustainable mobility solutions, reinforcing its role as the sole authorized distributor of brand new Toyota vehicles in the country. Distinguished Japanese delegates, including the Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, were present to honor the milestone. The celebration highlighted Toyota Lanka's leadership and vision for the future of mobility in Sri Lanka. NDB Bank earned top honors at the Asian Banking and Finance Retail Banking Awards 2025, winning Domestic Retail Bank and Islamic Banking Initiative of the Year for Sri Lanka.
NDB won 2 prestigious awards at the Asian Banking and Finance Retail Banking Awards 2025 in Singapore. Domestic Retail Bank of the Year and Islamic Banking Initiative of the Year for Sri Lanka were the awards. These accolades reflects NDB's dedication to customer-centric banking, innovation and digital transformation. The bank also recently received recognition as Domestic Project Finance Bank of the Year. The Islamic Banking Reward remarks NDB's first in this sector, showcasing its commitment to ethical, Sharia-compliant financial services. NDB's CEO Kalume Dirisinghe emphasized that these honors reflect the bank's focus on expanding financial access and supporting Sri Lanka's economic progress.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. And Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks rose Friday, tracking overnight strength in Wall Street, although Japanese markets lagged as data showed consumer inflation remained sticky, presenting a hawkish outlook for the Bank of Japan. Still, risk appetite in Asia was upbeat after the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite hit record highs, buoyed by a mix of strong earnings and economic data. S&P 500 futures rose 0.1% in Asian trade, and China's Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite Indexes rose 0.6% and 0.3% respectively, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 0.9%. Singapore's Straits Times Index also rose 0.4%, while GIFT Nifty 50 futures for India's Nifty 50 Index fell 0.1%. The Nikkei 225 lagged its Asian peers, losing 0.3%, while the Topix shed 0.2%. Australia's ASX 200 was a standout performer, rising 1.2% to a record high of 8,743 points. The index marked extended gains after dismal labour data released earlier in the week furthered bets that the Reserve Bank of Australia will have to cut interest rates further in the coming months. U.S. stocks ended higher, with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq registering record closing highs, boosted by strong economic data and earnings reports that showed American consumers remain willing to spend.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Thursday, with the Dow and S&P 500 each gaining about 0.5% and the Nasdaq adding roughly 0.75%. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq notched record-high closes, something each index has achieved multiple times in recent weeks. Data showed U.S. retail sales bounced back sharply in June, which many investors viewed as a sign of renewed economic momentum. But Joe Hegener, founder and chief investment officer of Asterazoa Capital Management, is concerned that consumers are buoyed by an abundance of available credit. Still, the strong retail sales data was accompanied by upbeat commentary from consumer-facing companies. Shares of PepsiCo jumped 7.5% after forecasting upbeat results, fueled by demand for energy drinks and healthier sodas. Shares of United Airlines gained more than 3% after the carrier projected stronger demand since early July, offering a rare bright spot for an industry strained by President Trump's budget cuts and trade tensions. Shares of TSMC, the world's main producer of advanced AI chips, added nearly 3.5% after the company posted a record quarterly profit, saying demand for artificial intelligence was getting stronger. After the close, Netflix reported earnings above forecasts, aided by the final season of global phenomenon Squid Game. But extended hours trading was volatile, with shares dipping about 1% after the report.
Brazil's Congress passed a law easing environmental permitting despite opposition from environmentalists undermining President Lula's green push before hosting this year's COP30.
Brazil's Congress voted Thursday to weaken environmental permitting rules despite fierce opposition from environmentalists. Business leaders in the country had criticized the existing rules as a barrier to development. The move is a potential blow to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as he seeks to burnish his country's green credentials before hosting the United Nations Global Climate Summit COP30 this year. The legislation passed with broad support in Brazil's Congress, where a powerful agribusiness caucus holds huge influence. While many environmentalists agree that the process needed to be reformed, they argue that the approach taken by Congress is likely to cause far more harm than good. The bill loosens several permitting requirements. For example, it allows projects considered to have a small or mid-size impact, such as dams and basic sanitation infrastructure, to be built without environmental permits. Lula can still veto parts or the whole bill, sending it back to Congress, which could strike vetoes down. Its legality could also be questioned at the Supreme Court, which has intervened on other contentious environmental bills put forward by Congress.
And And that wraps up today's nightly business report. We value your opinion as always, so please share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We'll see you again on Monday with the latest updates across the business globe. And until then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend.